Hello, and welcome again to Mountaintop Living. Once again, this is your host, your friend, your brother, Michael Fields. Excited, as always, for another opportunity to come before you and trust that you will be enlightened, inspired by this great and informative video. You know, once again, today we have a very special guest who is no novice, who is no one to be overlooked or overplayed, one who is very notable around the world. And we know that you're going to be tremendously inspired and tremendously blessed today from a result of this great individual who you will get a chance to hear from on Mountaintop Living. You know, Mountaintop Living is more than just a dream, but it is a lifestyle for me. And it can be a lifestyle for all of you who will make that decision for mountaintop living. Mountaintop living is simply taking control of your life one day at a time, maximizing every moment by the divine frequency of supreme energy that's within you and within me. Acknowledging this special endowment with practical steps of knowledge with applied wisdom, which will enable you to know yourself and to walk in success from every challenge, every setback, because what may seem like a season of devastation is truly a season of preparation, and preparation is never lost time. Well, for the next 56 minutes, I want to ask you, if you will, to buckle your seatbelts, get your pen, get your tablet. Be prepared to jot some notes down because you're going to be empowered to prosper. You know, I'm reminded of a great teacher that I heard say these words. He says that the richest, the wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery. And that's simply because people die with unfulfilled purposes. And you know, that's what mountaintop living and tonight is going to be about. We are concerned about your life. It's not just enough for us to be concerned about our lives, but we have a special endowment. We have been called and chosen, and we must make it our business to help those, as many as possible, to know their life purpose, that their life can be a life of mountaintop living. Tonight, Master Teacher 33, and there's a quote that he made it, and I want to share that quote that he made, and then we're going to let him come on and introduce himself. Master Teacher said, 87% of people are unhappy with their lives. He says, well, because of a life that is not lived on purpose, per your diaconia, per your mission, per your role, is a life lived in darkness. I had the privilege of meeting Master Teacher 33, Dr. Will Rogers, a few years ago. And, you know, it's one thing to hear somebody, but when you hear somebody that's teaching and sharing what you don't know, that's truly a teacher. Because a teacher is not someone that's just going to echo something, but a teacher is someone that's going to bring you something that you never heard before. And he began to share some truths, and I began to give my undivided attention to these truths. And literally, I have to be honest with you, I was blown away. And still to this day, I am blown away. And I thought about how many more people that maybe perhaps think that they somewhat have an ideal of what it is that they are sent here on this earth to do. But when you have what I call not prophetic words, but a blueprint that confirms that you are on the right track. And based upon, his optimization report, uh, based upon that, when I done that report with him, it confirmed some things with my life and in my life. And as a result of that, it gave me more confidence, not cockiness, but confidence. And Dr. Will Rogers, Master Teacher 33, he is one of the most confident teachers that I have ever had the privilege of listening to. And so we're going to bring him on, and we're going to dive into this, and we're going to dialogue and share some, and he's going to share and talk about the optimization report and just share some ways on how we can help individuals as you help me, that their life can be a life of mountaintop living. Dr. Will Rogers, come on in, Master Teacher 33.
Well, thank you so much, my brother. It's, I know we heard a little feedback. I don't know if that's on my end or not, but man, it's such an honor and a privilege, man. I remember when we first met, and you picked up your report, and just being able to share that information with you, the way I've been doing with a lot of connecting with a lot of other people and a lot of other clients, just helping them to really, really get in contact with their true, authentic self, getting rid of all of the fluff, getting rid of all of, the ego and all the mainstream narrative. There's a lot of personality tests and things that's out there, but in order to drill down to the true core self, that energetic imprint, that blueprint that you mentioned earlier, because that's what changed my life, man. I, like yourself, grew up in the church, did all of that, preaching, and started in church and doing all that stuff, man. And I had an identity, but when that collar was taken, we'll put it that way, I lost my identity. I lost myself. I didn't know who I was without that title, without that label. And whatever man can give you, man can take away. Whatever what God gives you, man can't touch, because God's gifts are without recompense. So it's this ability to be able, the whole system is based upon connecting with the true, authentic God self, is what I call it. We are all individual expressions of God on earth, and helping people identify, like you said, I'm not no prophet. Don't get into none of this prophetic stuff. This is innate attributes and characteristics that just tell you what you already know. It's just a witness. It just confirms. And when you get that confirmation, it just does. It gives you. That's what it did for me, brother. It did exactly what you said. It just set me on fire from the perspective of, it gave me that confidence. It gave me that dunamis power, that thing that when Jesus left, he came back and they say, hold up, isn't this the carpenter's son? And they said, where did he get his authority? Why does he speak as one who has authority? That's what happened to me, brother. Before I was talking, but I didn't have no authority. So my authority doesn't come from externally. My authority comes from internal. And so therefore it can't be affected by man. It can't be affected by politics, can't be affected. I'm not impressed with degrees. I'm not, secret societies and people in these, all of this standing on your square and all that stuff is awesome, brother. But once you get in contact with your true authentic self, and it's like you are now, you got a pipeline, or you got a call that you picking up, and you are connected to source. It's a divine connected to source, to God. And so when you get that, brother, that totally elevates you to a whole nother level. I say now you're on a level where there is no devil, because you are literally one with God. Because when you see yourself, you see your source, you see God. And that's what transformed my life, brother.
Wow. I'm a teenager from the 70s, and there was a group called the Commodores, Lionel Richie and the Commodores. And one of my favorite songs during that time frame was "This Is Your Life," and the words of that song says, "Do what you want to do. So much in life to see you through. Be what you want to be. Be strong and tell the world you're free. I see the children of the world searching to find themselves and who they are. So many words, so many roads for them to choose. Yea, so many ways for them to win or lose. Oh, this is your life. Oh, this is your life. Round and round we go. People come and people go. I want to stop right there because, you know, a lot of people, and I was on that roller coaster ride too. Round and round I was going, you know, until I found out for sure. And once again, this is why I give honor to you for part of your assignment. Man, you are a one-stop shop. That's about the best way I can describe you. I mean, everything and anything that if a person want their life to be complete, I mean, you offer it, you gives it. And not only do you talk it, but your lifestyle, you lives it. You exemplify that. And so once again, the optimization of helping people, you know, to optimize their life, to be all they can be, to get off those many roads and get on the right road, and get off that round and round circle, you know, of going round and round like a dog chasing its tail, you know, and give them that confidence that they need to do what it is that they are supposed to be doing. So help us out a little bit, brother. Help us out a little bit with your optimization. You know, I want to put on screen here before you come. This is what you presented to me.
Absolutely.
The optimization chart, and it confirmed. I mean, it at the time I was on the truck. I was driving the truck, and you know, after 30 years of senior pastoring, and my ministry home and everything was flooded, and so I was no longer doing that. I was truck driving, and boop, here's pop Dr. Will Rogers with this life optimization chart circle. So talk about this a little bit, Dr. Will, if you will.
Absolutely, brother. What's interesting with your chart, like this is my book right here. It's 750 pages that's included in it. And if you notice, the first three numbers on my chart is exactly the same numbers on your chart. And I always remember that because, you know, it's almost like and that really is a secret. It's called the Club of 33. And I think about how everybody that has these numbers, we don't really like. I watch a lot of the Netflix and some of these other shows, some of these old Celtic, Nordic, you know, like Viking movies. I'm talking about Valhalla and all of this stuff. So that gets into runes and it gets into understanding sigils. Because before the alphabet, before language, they use symbols. And then these runes turned into what we call the Aleph Bet. And there was 22 originally from the 22 Hebrew letters, as you already know, that represents the 22 amino acids inside the human body. So when you hold up that chart, what you're holding up is each one of those numbers correlate over to a specific letter. So when you look at your name, you know, Michael Fields, that equals and that comes out. Then you take the numbers because each number is what they call an emanation. So it's literally an attribute, a characteristic of God, or what we call source. So these numbers are not just numbers. I hate to even call it numbers because that's a dumbing down. It's almost like disrespecting the power that God has placed inside of each and every one of us. Each letter in your name, you know, as you know, in the chapter, there's a chapter inside of the report that goes through each individual letter one at a time, each letter. So you could build technically a ministry, $1 million business, whatever you want to, you know, whatever you want to do, whether it's commercial, non-commercial, just by each letter in your name. So I'm looking at, for example, your name starts with the letter M. So I turned over to that chapter inside of the Dear Canary report. And this is what the Life Optimization Circle is based upon. This is the significance of the power of it. And anybody's name that ends in, like yours does, in EL represents Elohim. Supposedly people that has like Raphael, Michael, Ezekiel, all of these names that end in EL, as you tell in the Old Testament, a lot of those names represents, you know, attributes and characteristics of God embodied inside of a human body. And so the letter M it says that M represents spirituality. It represents the stability. It represents solid foundations. The letter M has a great deal of self-confidence and therefore likely to experience or achieve success. On the negative side, the letter M, people with that name starts with the letter M are usually workaholics. I guarantee
Yeah.
you all of the attributes I've just said apply to you.
Yes. Everyone. Everyone.
Yeah, and this, brother, when I first did my own name, it really kind of set me back because I was kind of like, that can't, how did they know? It's like, I'm like, how can it be so accurate? So I did my kids, I took it on my job that I was working at the time. And I did this with everybody I could come in contact with because I couldn't believe the accuracy of it. And for the first couple of years, I didn't sell it. I just kept playing around with it because, man, brother, I had been in, when I got out of the military, full-time ministry, then I went into corrections, went into law enforcement. And so I was dealing with human psychology. And I went through all the Briggs-Myers stuff, and I took all the human psychology stuff, and I dealt with deviant behavior, and I took all the psychology classes. I even wanted to go into, I thought I was going to become a psych major, and because I really loved how the brain works. Because I was dealing with, this part of society that I'm like, what would make a man do that? Or then I got to get into some of the mental issues and mental problems. So that's what really led me, because number one, I had some issues going on myself because I had some deviant behavior, but as a licensed and ordained preacher, I had to keep it on the DL. So people didn't know, but I was doing the same thing anybody else was doing. Maybe not quite as bad, quote unquote, because we justify our behavior, but still I was one way in church, and then I was another way at home. And so what this did for me, brother, is it really helped me become honest, stop lying to myself. I saw my worth and my value, but I also saw my flaws. So I couldn't make the transition. I had to find out, how can I go from, and this is module 1 of, but that's why I set the whole life management system. Because it's one thing to identify what I call your current habit pattern, or your life, or your negative habit pattern. But then there's a whole other thing to make that transition over. So that way people can transition from one way of thinking over to the other way of thinking. So I call that behavior modification. So I wrote a whole book on it. I broke that down so that way people could understand what I call cladonomics. So cladonomics is the ability to take the old you, like you talk about in the Bible, we talk about the old man and the new man, like you talk about in Romans and the book of Ephesians, these two seeds that are far off come together and create one new man in Christ. And so all of this, man, it starts with you understanding the meaning of each letter in your name and each number in the day that you was born. And it totally removes the scale off your eyes, man, and help you to see.
Yes, truly. It truly done that for me and more. I want to go back to the word that I used in the beginning, blueprint. Another word that comes to mind is fingerprint. The way I look at it too as well, we are known, a person is identified, and you with your law experience, a person is identified through their fingerprint.
Absolutely.
And the report that you presented to me, it was likened unto a fingerprint. And I'm gonna tell you, my mother was living at the time, and I went to her. I said, "Mama," I said, "where did you get my name from?" I said, "Did you get a book or something that they passed out at the hospital or something?" She said, "No, son." She said, it was just in me to name you Michael." And then as I was doing my family tree, I discovered that I had some ancestors, name was Michael Fields also as well on my father's side. And I said, "Did you know?" She said, "No." She says, this is what God told me to call you, to name you Michael. And bam, that was it. I named my son Michael Jr. That he turned around and he named his son. So we have 3 Michaels. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what would you recommend a person do that have some quote unquote questions, just really want to tap over into that assurance and that confidence? Are you still offering those optimization reports, and are you still doing that for people? Present that to those who are listening.
Absolutely, brother. I still have. I have individual websites. I got about 25 websites altogether. But for example, if they just wanted a introductory, what I call just an introduced, because it is a lot of information,
Yeah.
can be overwhelming for some. So if they just wanted it's about 20 pages that breaks down what you just mentioned, which is just the life optimization circle. And what I just
Hmm.
take just their name and their date of birth and just provide them with a basic chart and also breaking down what each number represents. And that's at the website, just like the name, lifeoptimizationreport.com.
Hmm.
Everything is available at the main website, which I probably should just, if somebody really want to get started, just go to my main website, which is masterteacher33.com, and the link to everything else is available at that main website. But that's where you start, man. You really want to start with really getting into the basic of understanding what we call it numerology, but really it's gematria and it's still mathematics and biblical alphanumerics. And I talk about
Hmm.
those three things in the book, so that way we can demystify some of the, especially if you're coming from a traditional Christian background. A lot of times, man, we get that's considered. I know when I was in the church, man, astrology, numerology, all that was
No,
demonic,
no.
and
Demonic.
you couldn't touch that stuff. So I
No.
had to look at it from a biblical perspective. And so I understand that I came out from that community as well. So that's
Hmm.
why people ask me a lot of times, why do I still use so many scriptures and when I do my shows and my books? Because I came from that background, and that's my demographics. Those are the people I'm trying to reach, to realize that, man, there's nothing evil, especially in the book of Job. And I talk about, I go through and I list all the scriptures inside the Diakony report where it talks about, in the Bible, it uses the word Mazaruth, which is a
Hmm.
Hebrew word for the English word as zodiac. And so it's in
Hmm.
there. In astrology, in the book of Genesis, it tells us that that the stars and the heavens were given to us for a seasons, for a
Hmm.
guide and for seasons. And so there's a lot of scriptures to talk about the significance of what I do every day, which is help people understand the biblical significance of themselves using their own name and their own date of birth, because we didn't choose our name. That was the
Hmm.
reason why. I think about, just like you just said, when my kids ask me, well, Dad, like my oldest daughter asked me, Dad, why you name me Sade? I said,
Hmm.
well, at the time the singer Sade was out, I loved that music. I didn't want to spell it the way she spelled her name. I wanted to come up with something different. But that was
Hmm.
kind of the emphasis behind why I chose that name. I don't know,
Yes.
but it's so fitting because her name, I wouldn't change it. And it serves her well. But the meaning behind the name gives her what we call the life path number 5, which
Hmm.
represents. If everybody know my oldest daughter Sade, it fits her to a T. She loves to have fun. She's very focused, strong-willed. She's very assertive, but she's really, really, really free oriented. She doesn't like to be
Hmm.
like kind of clamped down. Hell, that's the number 5. 5
Hmm.
represents freedom,
Hmm.
financial
Hmm.
freedom, health freedom, freedom to move around, and all of that good stuff. So the
Hmm.
numbers that's inside of the circle, they really are parallel with our life. We literally are living the real true meaning of the numbers. And so when people connect with that meaning, it has a for most people it has a light bulb moment, because it really shows them what they've been doing their entire life. It just helps them to
Hmm.
understand it and see it a little
Understand
bit, and then go a little bit deeper if they like.
it. That's you said the key word there, understand their life. And um, in my study, researching also too about the temples in ancient Kemet, modern day Egypt, over the door post, man know thyself. And it, in life, it's so important that we know ourselves. And
Mm,
except we know ourselves, learn ourselves, we could never be all that we are supposed to be. And for an individual to think, regardless of their age, to think that I have it all sold up, I'm
right.
completed, it's so important to always keep a hunger, an open mind, and
Yes.
the knowledge that the universe, God is pouring out and making known to individuals now, and endowing within certain individuals such as yourself. it's just mind blowing. Once again, I commend you, Master Teacher 33, because truly, indeed, I never heard of the term Master Teacher 33 until I heard you, and it's right on. I mean, it is right on. There was individuals in my life in times past. The late Bishop Mike Timberlake Jr., one of my spiritual father, Dr. Miles Monroe as well. These individuals had a special endowment that brought us to a certain level of understanding that we just don't sweep away. We didn't sweep away, but we build upon that. And that's what's so important. It's so powerful about knowledge, because all you know is not all there is to know. There's always room for growth. There's always room for improvement. And at my age, my young age of 64, the new 46, I'm serious. Literally, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, because with my wife and with my son, and this past week I happened to pull out a picture of my firstborn son, Michael Jr. Yeah, and I looked at his picture and Bernard's picture, and I put them together, and I said, my. I said, boy, these field genes really run deep. And so, it's like I have a second chance. I have another opportunity to put into him, or to make available for him, that I didn't get a chance to make available to Michael Jr. And it's very inspiring. It's very encouraging. I have to say that even in my life right now, I'm more confident. I'm more sure of myself, my life, of what I'm doing and what I should be doing than I was when Michael Jr. was a baby. So it's an exciting time for me, Master Teacher 33. And, as we started up this, Mountaintop Living, and we started up this podcast, this video and so forth, you constantly, comes to mind and stays on my mind. And I did not want to go further into this, without having you to come on board and, share, this life optimization process, and what it can entail within a person's life. As we were simply saying, we can reap better in life because we can be more than we are.
Absolutely.
And it's so important, to not think that we have it all, but continue to have that hunger. So, Master Teacher, we're at our halfway point. What are some of the other steps and processes that you offer to individuals to help them have a optimized life? What is an optimized life? Will you elaborate on that?
Absolutely, brother. We talk about optimized life. Optimization represents a little bit what I talked about today when I was breaking down what I call the physics of productivity. When we talk about optimizing something, we're talking about getting it to oscillate or vibrate at its peak, at its highest performance. And so one of the things that I've added to my repertoire, if you will, is peak performance. And so right now we're going through a 360-day journey, which is called the Kingdom Millionaire Maker. What we're doing is taking people and helping people understand that success is not a secret, it's a system. And now, especially now, more so than ever, because of artificial intelligence, it's going to be more challenging, because I've made, and my old business model was primarily providing these reports or information to people to let them know this is who you really are. This is who you are right now, but this is what God has designed and gifted you to be. When I started this, at that time, I was thinking, what was I doing? Yeah, I was in insurance, right? And I was an insurance agent, working at an insurance company, selling insurance. And when I started really fleshing out and pulling together all this information to develop this life optimization system and this Dear Kinnear report, I
Mhm.
noticed that what I was being and doing wasn't the vibrational equivalent of what I was designed. And
Mhm.
so the further away you are from your design, that leads to what I call decline. So depression is your body telling you that it is sick and tired of being you. It is sick and
Mhm.
tired of being fake. So the more depressed someone is, that's the further that lets me know that that's how far removed they are from their true, authentic, life optimized self. And so when
Mhm.
you remove or get back to being authentic, being honest with yourself, stop lying to yourself, stop being fake, stop
Mhm.
trying to be and do something that you're not. But it
Mhm.
started with a being statement, not a doing statement. So for me, the most important thing about the life optimization system, to optimize the life simply means that you are choosing to align your mind with your God-given design. You're not trying to go out and learn something externally. You're actually going in because the kingdom of
Yeah.
God is within. So you go on the inside and you're looking up at the attributes and characteristics that you already have. That's what
Mhm.
optimization means, because God has given us, past tense,
Mhm. Mhm.
everything that we need for life and godliness. So all the when you optimize your life, that means that you disconnect really from external stimulation and you go in to activate internal revelation. So once that internal revelation overrides external stimulation, bam, that's an optimized life.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, you know, it's so important, you know, as you stated, you know, to realize and understand that it comes from within. And you know, the scripture that comes to mind is you know, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Um, so many feels as if there has to be uh some voice from the outside, some influence from the outside that is
Right.
going to optimize their life. Rather than taking that initiative, rather than taking that time, you know, to concentrate on themselves. As we stated, everything that we need is within us, and
Yes.
what what we may feel like is not in us, when it presents itself to us, there is so much agreement, there is so much oneness that you just say, that's just me. That's just me. There's, even though I'm hearing this from a teacher, even though I'm hearing this from someone else, but that's me. That's me.
Right.
That's such of a witness that you know without a shadow of a doubt the book that you're reading or the person that you're listening to, you could be on the other side of the screen and your name could be on the bottom of that book because of the same
Yeah.
frequency, the oneness. Um, that's why, you know, as I stated when I first heard you, I said, my God. I said, I never met this man. I never sat at his feet. I say, but there's such a agreement.
Yeah.
What he's saying is that it is as if I said the same thing, but I don't know how to
Mm.
say it. I don't
Yeah.
know how to say it. I don't know where this man getting this from. Where is, I know that's right. I can't put my finger on it, but I know it's right because of the witness that bears with from within the inside. So it's awesome, and this is why, as I stated, regardless of our age, never stop thinking that you have arrived. After
Absolutely.
30 years of full-time senior pastoring, 5 years uh, in full-time evangelizing, after hearing and being exposed to the truths, the teachings, the metaphysics, and the astrology, the astronomy, the ancient scrolls and texts, I didn't want to stand and teach anymore
Yeah.
until I got a understanding of what was what. And so for 7 years, I basically, you know, just withdrew myself from public speaking to going in. Uh, analyzing what I did know and
Yeah.
how to connect with what I'm learning so that I can go further. So, what would be your words to words of wisdom, your words of advice to a pastor, to other ministers that is in my shoes that I was in? You know, they know that there's something more, but they
Right.
don't know how to tap into it. They don't know how to make the transition from where they are to where they need to go. So,
Absolutely, brother. You hit the nail on the head with that one, man. You know, one of the most important things that I focus on is I used to be, and that's why my heart goes out, because internally you know that something's missing. You don't know
mhm,
exactly what it is,
what it
but you
is.
know that
Mhm,
you're not living that what you call that. I love the way you talk about the mountaintop, living.
living. Hmm.
Um, there is a higher level, if you want to use that term, of happiness, for lack of a better term,
Hmm.
productivity, beingness,
Hmm.
really peace, fruit of the spirit, love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, self-control. That
Hmm.
literally does exist. You really don't
Hmm.
have to live a life of fear and doubt and unbelief and struggling from payday to payday. You can, because wealth is more of a mental disposition than it is physical attainment. And
Hmm. Hmm.
when I say that, sometimes people don't really understand what I mean. That just simply means
Hmm.
that your trust and your confidence is in your attributes and characteristics that's
Hmm.
internally, that you are
Hmm.
going to figure it out. You have faith, you have belief
Hmm.
now in the attributes and characteristics of yourself because God is in you. So we have this
Hmm.
treasure hidden in earthen vessels. And then what is this treasure? Christ in me, the hope of glory. And so it's this
Hmm.
understanding, we're saying the same thing, but now it's personal ownership. It's personal responsibility because faith without works is dead. There's so much external emphasis on the worshiping of Christ instead of actually the doing of Christ. Instead of actually,
Hmm.
I mean, he says it in the word, the things I have done, you're supposed to do. It's in there.
Hmm.
But and even though
Hmm.
it says faith without works, and so that's why I started that, man. I started really, really delving into the true honesty of my life that, man, I'm not living what I'm talking, and I'm preaching one thing, but I'm doing something else. And then
Hmm.
I had to
Hmm.
really examine what is the definitions and where do they come from. So when I started looking into the meaning of these words, when I started looking at I just want basic history. So what is
Hmm.
the Council of Nicaea? What happened in 16? Who was Constantine? What happened in 16?
Hmm.
Where did we get 16? Where did we get the King James Bible from? And what happened before 1611? What were they doing before
Hmm.
1611? Then I bumped into the Ethiopian Bible. And I'm like, well, why we
Hmm.
got 88 books over here and 66 books over here? Who made the decision what books got in? So I didn't ask. I started researching. I started delving in. I started doing some of my own. I started doing that. The Bible says, study to show yourself approved. And
Hmm.
then what really
Hmm.
blew, like going to eSword, Bible Gateway, blueletterbible.org, and I looking up the definition of these words, and I was blown
Hmm.
away that, man, that you can have the same word in different verses. It mean different things. It's like
Hmm.
the word sky doesn't mean sky in all of the verses. It
Hmm.
just depends, so
Hmm.
you just can't make a blanket like we would think because each
Hmm.
word is a transliteration from other. The Bible was not written in English. It wasn't even written in Greek. It wasn't.
Hmm.
It was a Aramaic, Chaldean, and then Latin, and then all of this stuff. Then you lose the meaning of certain words from when you change it from one language to another. So all of
Hmm.
that has to be taken into context when you read it. Well, I wasn't doing that when I was preaching. I just took the English. I just took the surface level, and just like it says in one of my favorite scriptures in Hebrews 6, when it says, "Hey, let us go on past the basic teachings of. Let us go on to perfection."
Hmm.
Past the basic
Hmm.
teachings of Jesus Christ and Him crucified, and then they list some other
Hmm.
things. And that's what really hit home for me because I knew that, man, I wanted this power, which was confidence, which was when adversity shows up in my life, what do I
Hmm.
do? And that's what it like, man, because I was, I kept experiencing adversity and I was not able to overcome it with confidence. Like
Hmm.
if I didn't have what I have right now, brother, when my daughter Shamora passed away at 19 a couple of years ago, I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. If I wasn't the man I am, if I just still had what I had back in my religious days, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have made it. The only thing that got me through was like you said, man, you can never stop learning. I don't care how old you are, man. I'll be 120, and I'm still gonna be researching and learning and studying whatever's coming out, assimilating the new information, because that's how we expand our consciousness, man. That's how we grow. That's how we establish the ability to overcome obstacles, regardless of what it is, man. We have this ability to be steadfast because we know greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. So that confidence comes from actually knowing what's in you. The attributes and characteristics that's placed inside of us that resonate with us, that activates our pineal gland, activates the magnetites, that activates the calcite crystals, the melanin, all of this body. Our body literally is the temple of the Ruach and the Pneuma. It really is. Just like it says, but back in the day, I had a head knowledge about all this stuff, but I did not have an application. I didn't have a real world boots on the ground, pay your light bill understanding. Now I do. That's totally different.
Yeah, you see, I jotted down a few things today, and I was meditating upon those things. And one was, unless we change how we are, we will always keep what we got. Income does not far exceed personal development. Unless we grow to where the set income we desire. If we don't grow to that set income that we desire, we will never reach it. Or if we do reach it, we cannot maintain it. So success is what we attract. It's not what we pursue. It is what we pursue through personal development. That's that internal work, that inner work. And for that purpose and for that reason, I cannot stop learning. I cannot stop searching. I cannot stop knowing. I can remember 7 years ago, I shared with a fellow, quote unquote, brother who I was in fellowship with at the time. And I shared with him, I say, brother, with what I'm waking up to now, there's no way that I can maintain my role of where I'm at right now. He said, well, what is it? I said, it's the knowledge. It's what it's always been, that catapult me to the next level. The knowledge, the seeking of knowledge, the greater understanding. I said, with what I'm discovering now and learning now, I say, I can't stay at this same level. You better stop that. You better stop. You get out there, that knowledge, what you're talking about, and you're going to get over there in left field. You're going to get over there in right field, and you're going to get all confused, and you're not going to understand this, and you're not going to understand that. Brother, I said to him, I am trusting my intuition. With the way that this knowledge is making me feel, with the way this knowledge is bringing healing in my body, the way this knowledge is renewing my youth, brother, I'm going with this. I'm going with this. And Hosea 4:6 says, for the lack of knowledge, my people perish. My people are destroyed. And as you were stating about your daughter, my mother passed 2 years ago. She was almost 102. There's no way that I would have been able to endure that and stand and proclaim, her homegoing service if it were not for the knowledge that I tapped into. And so for that reason and for that purpose, as I stated earlier, I'm grateful for you and me and such as yourself. On last week, we had Dr. Ray Hagan with us on last week, because without that I gather from you, brother, I'll just be honest with you. I would be lost. Just be honest with you. It would be lost. And so, that brings me to another song. I love songs about life when I was a teenager. Devotion, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
And the word says, through devotion, blessed are the children. Praise the teacher that brings true love to many. Your devotions opens all life's treasure, yea, and deliverance from the fruits of evil. So without that true devotion, without that teacher that brings true love to many, brother, you will never walk into life's treasure. You'll never have the deliverance and from all the fruits of evil. I want to drop this nugget because prior to this knowledge, me and my wife was talking about it earlier. I was a full-blown diabetic. I was injecting myself with insulin.
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
My blood sugar spiked to 768. Wow. I was taking Lisinopril. I was taking high cholesterol medication. Bruh,
I had no idea.
Yes, sir. Brother, I'm totally medication, pharmaceutical free.
Yes.
My blood pressure, I walk down the mountain, back up the mountain every morning, 1.5 miles. And when I get back and check my blood pressure is 119. Once this morning it was 117 over 78, 119 over 75. I shot those numbers to Junior. He said, Daddy, my numbers hadn't been like that since I was a teenager in Bible college. So this knowledge, brother, this knowledge will bring true deliverance from the fruits of evil. I was on my way to a casket, to a grave. But this knowledge set me free. This knowledge brought me out. It brought me over. It's sustaining me. This knowledge caused me at 63 years old to have a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave that right there. not Viagra. But
come on,
this
preacher.
knowledge.
Come on, preacher. Go ahead and preach.
So, brother, as we close, I want you to come on in with it and close us out and just once again, I want to invite the people. I want to give them an opportunity, to hook up with you and avail themselves to this knowledge that we're talking about. And in return, I believe they will have some testimonies too.
Absolutely.
Because this knowledge is not for just me, but it's for those who will hunger and thirst after it and apply it to their life and be set free from the evils of this world.
Absolutely.
So the life optimization, which we talked about earlier, I did notice some other readings and charts that you present as well. Share some of those as we close.
Absolutely, brother. You hit on two major things. There's so much information. I focus on 4 areas. That's wealth, health, wisdom, and relationship. I have a lot of family members, and even myself. I didn't really get into any serious medical issues, but one of the things that I had to break down was, in this book right here, understanding it's called theocentric nutrition. And I have a website that's called Theocentric Nutrition that breaks down this neurotheology and how it affects our biology. And
Mhm.
you mentioned something, because when you was talking about your health, because our wealth is our health. I don't care how
Mhm.
much money
Mhm.
you have, if you don't have no health, man, that money ain't gonna do you any good. So
No good.
you hit something that was extremely important for us to, especially in our community, to really
Mhm.
focus on making sure that we have a system in place to help deal with that. And one of the things that I do is called frequent intense training, where I assist people and I do not only a work up a dietary routine that's based upon their blood. So we should be eating for our blood type instead of our tongue type, or sort of our
Mhm.
taste. And we should be making sure
Mhm.
that we're getting these vital minerals, what we call vitamins. It's vital and then minerals. Those two words come together. We got vital minerals because we are
Mhm.
minerals. We're made up of
Mhm.
minerals and enzymes. And so if
Mhm.
we have any mineral deficiencies, that's going to lead to disease, and so its
Mhm.
ability to be able to make sure we're getting the proper, nutrition that we need. So that way we are minerals determine our material. So my
Mhm.
materialization is determined by my minerals or my mineralization. So anytime
Mhm.
something is going wrong in the 3D, then I realize I got to make sure that I'm looking at it from not only from a spiritual perspective, but I need to also get the proper vital energy because we are electrical beings. So we need to eat
Mhm.
electrical food, which gets into
Mhm.
all the stuff that I'm sure that you know about as well. Because
Mm.
two things, and that is our proper self-image. That gets into the life optimization because
Mhm.
your self-worth determines your net worth. And you said that
Mhm.
earlier, man. How you see yourself is how you be yourself. You literally bring
Mhm.
about what you think about. So if I'm
Mhm.
thinking that I am, low worth, no value, don't have nothing to offer,
Mhm.
then I'm going to attract that
Track that.
because currency, basically what you send out, you get back. And
Mhm.
so if I'm sending out, fear, doubt, and unbelief, and all this stuff, I'm gonna attract. I'm gonna connect with
Mhm.
people on that level. So when
Mhm.
we elevate our thinking, and the best way to do that is having a clear 100% confidence and understanding and no set that soon, what you mentioned earlier, which is to know thyself. And
Mhm.
that's what helped me, brother. Like I said, I could quote scriptures and do all that stuff, but when I got a personal understanding of how God uniquely designed me, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so
Yeah.
all of the different reports in the areas of wealth, I got a whole system for wealth. I got another system. That's what all this stuff is behind me. All of that
Mhm.
just represents all the different systems, and each one of those represents, a certain milestone monetarily for me. And so
Right.
this is I'm surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. That's why I have it up on
Yeah.
my wall. So that way, if I ever have a low vibrational day, I just got to go glance over to my right. So, oh, yeah, that's 20
Mhm.
grand right there. Oh, yeah, that's
Mhm.
30,000 behind me. Over there, that's
Yeah.
50. So
Yeah.
but the reason that keeps my motivation up. So that's what
Mhm.
faith means,
Mhm.
man. Pistis, pistuo, and pytho, to induce
Mhm.
oneself to believe by
Mhm.
words. And not only the
Mhm.
word of
Mhm.
God, but your words
Your
based
words.
upon your attributes and characteristics. And so each one of these areas, wealth, health, wisdom, and relationships, I have a system set up because success is based upon you having a step-by-step system that's based upon
Mhm.
your own individual attributes and characteristics that work together in harmony. And so
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing right now. I'm creating systems for people so that way, whether it's wealth, whether they need help in health, whether they need help with relationships, or whether they just need help with getting out or getting deeper into the wisdom stuff, it's
Mhm.
all based upon harmonizing and create harmony by being able to bring all of these attributes and characteristics that God gave you, put them into a proper order, so that way
Mhm.
you are able to establish a productive system that brings about fruit and results. Because that's
Mm.
what it's all about.
Mhm.
You can tell a tree by
Mhm.
its fruit.
Yeah. So, Master Teacher 33, roughly how many books would you say you have penned?
Ooh, right now about man. Well, actually, physically, like that I have in house, I have 100 that I've
Mhm.
physically published. I got about 150 or so. I got another one that I'm still in the process of editing and publishing it physically. So that way I don't really count it as done until I get the physical copy in hand. I've personally written about 300. I published about 100 and get ready to pop out about another 50, as time allows. I just, but they are pretty much already done and completed. But on the website, purchased and ready to purchase right now, it's got about 100 books.
About 100 books. And once again, for those of you that are listening and those that will be listening, the knowledge in these books, his teaching is literally out of this world. That's right. It is literally out of this world. The teaching and the knowledge of, oh man, it's just hard to describe.
Yeah.
I was talking to me once again over dinner. Me and my wife was talking about you, and I was sharing with her, your teaching, about your teaching, and it's just, it's unreal. It's literally unreal. There's a few books I have penned, but in comparison to the knowledge, the level, the degree, the understanding that you're putting out, it's impeccable.
Appreciate that.
It really is. And once again, as we, as we prepare to close, I just commend you that you will continue to be in dialogue with that knowledge and with that understanding, and with what you have, the success with what you have achieved. It is my goal, my desire, my prayer, my wishes for you that in the next 3 years that you see a tenfold return. Because
I've never seen that, brother.
you are literally, you are truly, you still hid. You are still hid. Even with what you are reaching, you are still hid. But there's coming an unveiling of Master Teacher 33. There's truly coming a unveiling. And your biggest critics, your biggest enemies has been jealousy.
Yeah.
But there's a whole nother arena that you're preparing to walk into. And you're doing things with social media. But brother, I see some major areas and doors and avenues and opportunities that you're going to step into, because this knowledge that God has placed within you, it has to set many more people free. And there's miles that's hungry for this wisdom, and they're going to get it. They're going to find Dr. Will Rogers. I was lying in my bed and the Spirit says, contact Dr. Will Rogers. Just humble yourself and ask him to come be a part of this. And I'm grateful for it, because I know obedience is better than sacrifices. But I want you, those of you that's out there, Dr. Will Rogers, his Cash App is scrolling across the screen. I want you to avail yourself to that. You feel the opportunity, avail yourself to that, and avail yourself to the optimization reports and all that he has to offer. I know there was several of you that called me and inquired of me a year or so ago, whenever we had our optimization report done, and you wanted to do the same thing. So here's your opportunity to, help yourself. Nothing comes to you just by chance. You have to help yourself. I do know for a fact I would be in a grave if I did not take the initiative to help myself and walk into divine healing and experiencing mountaintop living. Once again, I say I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for being free of medications. No insulin, no phenobarb, no dilatin, migraine, headaches, none of that stuff. Totally set free. And it's as a result of knowledge and being obedient to that knowledge. But Dr. Will, I love you,
Oh,
brother, and I certainly
let me do my
appreciate
brother.
you. And we want to do it again in the days to come. I want to do it again. And uh, really grateful for you, brother. Thank you so much.
Amen,
Final
brother.
words. Final words. Close us out.
But again, brother Fields, as you know, my man, brother, mad respect for you. I know our journeys have been very similar in a lot of ways. So, man, I really do appreciate the opportunity. Those powerful words that you just said, but that you just said, brother. I'm still fairly unknown. I'm still kind of hidden, and I know because like you mentioned, I understand why. You know that there's
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
people that if you don't have a certain pedigree, you don't come from a
Right.
certain lineage or certain
Mhm.
schools, certain
Mhm.
background, that it is a little well, how does this everything that I came honestly, it's God given.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm thankful. It's been the grace and mercy, as brother. Grace and mercy of God, just getting here,
Mhm.
sound mind and body, and just being a willing participant. Because I just decided to, you know what, I'm tired of living. I had no bone in the fight. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
brother, I just knew something wasn't right. And I
Right.
wasn't trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I wasn't trying to be, trying to bash anybody's belief system or religion. All I
Mhm.
wanted was results.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
that my life was not producing results. So if there's somebody out there, you in the same place where I used to be, where brother Mike used to be, where if things just not working, you ready to try something different.
Mhm.
Go to my website, masterteacher33.com. All my information is there. All my 100 plus books is there. I got a lot of other stuff, but the main website is masterteacher33.com. And if you got any questions whatsoever, you can always email me as well. There's contact information on the website. But my email is just Dr. Will Rogers 33 at gmail.com. You can always email me, and I'll answer any questions that anybody may have.
All right. All right. This is once again Michael Fields, your host, your brother, your friend with Mountaintop Living. We'll see you the next time. And also, we'll see you at the top. Good night.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother. Peace.